We're here, Games 2 of Gamescom, and Rhea and I are going to chat about our favourite games from the day, so I'll let you go first.
Okay. I've got Shadow with me. I played Sonic yesterday, but Sonic's pretty good, so yeah, just
Sonic
get that
all
in
the
there.
way.
Yeah. But my favorite game that I played today was Date Everything, which there's been a bit about it in the news so far, and I was a bit apprehensive because it is a dating simulator that boasts 100 characters.
Did you date everything?
I dated 2 things.
That's not a lot.
And they are things because they are objects.
What objects were they? This is going to say a lot about you.
That's what I said to the developers because you have to go right. So it opens up. You are in a house and it's like open world in a house, and you're walking around and you have glasses which turn objects into humans.
This is like a really weird kink. I just carry on.
And I was walking around this house and I could pick any item to turn into something to date. And I was absolutely terrified because I had, I think, 5 developers around me. And I was like, they're going to judge me. They're going to judge me. So I picked TV at first.
Does it turn into a person?
Yes.
Okay. You could be putting something in anywhere. Like
the TV was fun. Good times. But the best one were the coat hangers. Because
oh my word,
the coat hangers turned into 5 people. All of them were himbos.
Lovely.
So I had 5 himbos sitting on me at once, all voice acted.
None of my games are going to measure up to this. Like, at all.
I'm trying to remember actual gameplay details rather than just the himbo sitting on me.
Overwhelmed by the himbos.
So there's 100 characters, and I was like, okay, that means like it's probably not going to be very detailed. I'm probably just going to get some like lines of dialogue that I laugh at and then move on. But no, there are 3 different paths for each character, so I guess that's 300 paths. And there are, I think it's a friendship, romance, and enemies route. But within those paths are different paths as well to get to that particular ending. So I was like aggressively hitting on the himbos, and they were aggressively hitting on me. With a TV, I think we're just going to be friends.
Amazing.
But 5 boyfriends for the price of 1, pretty good.
Fair.
And yeah, my favorite part was when I was like just absentmindedly saying to the developers like, oh yeah, I played a lot of dating sims before, and they're like, we can tell. I'm like, I don't know what that means.
It's not a compliment. It's not a compliment.
It made it memorable. So that's my favorite game of the day.
My favorite game of the day, to no one's surprise at the gamer, is Broken Sword Reforged because I love it. And I will always love it, and I will keep loving it. And honestly, I've already played it. I've spoken to Charles so much now, and I'm still super excited. Like, it comes out next month. I'm going to bully my child into playing it. And if just any fan of point and click, if you haven't played it before, play it. And if you have played it before, play it again because it looks amazing, and they've updated the UI, and they've done this whole new, like, hint system. It's supposed to be, like, more accessible for new people because, like, obviously kids these days aren't used to point and click. And so there's like the hidden system. It's like after a while they take stuff away so it's not that. And it makes it a little bit easier. They've added like a story mode to like make it easier as well, make the go easier. But it's like a childhood favorite of mine. It's coming back.
You really don't need to bully your child.
I know.
It's that you can just play the game yourself. You don't feel any shame.
I don't need to bully him. I bullied him into playing 2 like the other week, and now he likes it. So he will just play this one because he likes it now. I didn't bully him the first time.
It sounds like you did not need to play the demo.
Well,
but you got to. So,
what was your second favourite game?
That would be Atomfall, which I have seen described as British Fallout.
Was it British Fallout?
It kind of wasn't. It was like, okay, it's Fallout if you have like a billion mods to turn it into a survival game, and make it really, really difficult. I died probably 15 times. Like the developers probably wanted to intervene, but like it was really good. It is very British in this, like in the setting, in that like everything's got this like almost cozy sort of countryside village feel, but with like horrific oppression as well.
Very different from Date Everything.
Oh god, it was so different. And like you get into this world and you're told that there's this nearby village which is taken over with the army and the monarchists, and you're told that like it's an oppressive hellhole, like don't go there. And then you deal with so many bandits that by the time I saw the sign for it, I was like rushing into the oppressive arms. I was like, yeah, look, I don't care, oppress me, just keep me safe from these bandits, right? And I mean, that's a sign of like, it's like the narrative and the gameplay working together to show why people like put up with this. I only got 20 minutes of it, and I really wish I got longer with it, just because it's so difficult that like I think I spent 15 minutes dying.
Which, same bit.
Yeah,
I know what you mean. I've done that. I've done that before, and you're like, I've barely seen any of this.
But like, I won't blame them for me being terrible at games. So you know that was definitely my second favorite.
My second favorite one of the day was Supermassive Games' next entry in the Dark Pictures anthology, which is Directive A20. Oh my god, what did I say? And it's about
No, keep it.
80-20, right. Was Directive 80-20, so new Dark Pictures game, but it's like set in space.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not good with aliens, they creep me out. And this is sold as like The Thing, but in space. So it's like body horror, cosmic horror, because like the aliens, they're all like gooey, and they can mimic others, so like they'll look like members of the crew and stuff.
Delightful.
Yeah, but they've gone like more survival horror with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, before it was like more narrative and it was just like you could only die in like specific scenes if you made the wrong choice. There's now bits where like, you know, there'll be an alien and you have to like sneak around it, which I'm going to suck at. You know, and if you shine your flashlight, it'll see it and things like that. So there's
like fail states now.
Yeah. So there's a lot more of that. That they are doing like, you know, like story modes and things like that, so that people that do want to focus on the narrative, like that you can adjust it so you're not having to suck at that part, which is what I will do. But like they've really ramped it up. So if you played The Devil in Me, they introduced like tools as well. They've brought that back, but they've like refined it. In that one, like you could lose or break tools. It's all like tied into like you've got like I want to say like a utility belt, but it's on your arm. Mm-hmm. So that was good. Like it looked really interesting. Like they've gone beyond with it, which I love, but I do worry this one I will be the worst at, just because I'm not good at survival horror, like not proper survival horror.
Yeah.
Like, before you can do it because it's like cutscenes and you know you're like, oh, press the button, and this one I'm like, I could just die loads. And I will.
No. Was it like the same thing of like sucking in at the game in front of the developers, which is always fun?
It was hands off, luckily.
Oh,
but at the end, so they on the bit they showed us, they were like, "Oh, do you want the character to live or die?" And we were like, "Yeah, kill her." Like, let's see what happens.
Naturally, everyone was like, "Yeah, dead."
Everyone said kill her, and she gets her head caved in by the alien. So, yeah, lovely.
How graphic?
Yeah,
Scale of 1 to 10.
It was very graphic. Yeah. I was like, how is she going to die? Is he going to suck her face off? No, he's caving her head in. Like, okay.
Lovely stuff.
Yeah, mine were a lot less spicy than yours.
I would say getting your head caved in is like spicy in a different way. It's like,
if that's your thing, then yeah.
Not in that way. I'm happy with the coat hangers, thank you.
Including the alien. God.
What a day we've had.
Yeah, what a day. But yeah, so they're our favourite games.
Yeah.
Hello everyone, it's Dizzy Henley here, the Gamer's Editor-in-Chief, coming from Gamescom Day 2, joined by George Foster.
Woo-woo,
We're going to discuss our Game of the Day for Day 2. Yes. Now, you tend to like a lot of games. Yesterday there was like 7 games where your Game of the Day. How was today's?
Today
selection?
was good, yeah. It was a lot more embargoed stuff, just
yeah.
I can't talk about, but one thing I can talk about, and I didn't get to talk about at Summer Game Fest, is Dragon Ball Sparking Zero.
You did talk about quite a bit at Summer Game Fest, just not.
Yeah, just not to a camera.
Yeah.
It's so good. I love it. To be real though, I have been waiting for this one for a long time. If we count before it was announced, like 10 years. If we count when it's been announced, basically a year. And it's just living up to every expectation. It's just a dream Dragon Ball game. This build had a few new characters. I got to play Gohan and Super Buu and characters you don't know, and I'm just listing them, but you might know. Watcher. It's awesome. I cannot wait for October 11th.
Well, my game of the day wasn't actually a game that I played. I did get to play a few today, but a game that stood out to me, and another game that I've been probably not following as fervently as you have, but have been looking at for a long time, is Mouse, or as it's called these days, Mouse PI for Hire. I got to see quite a bit of gameplay for it, and the devs spoke to me about their influences. They were pretty open about the fact that it's kind of Bioshock and Disney. They describe it as Cuphead meets Doom, which they said is something like a comment I had put on a TikTok video for them, and they think okay, that kind of fits. But they said it started as Bioshock fan art with like Mickey Mouse in it. They were pretty honest about like the influences. They did say they don't feel it's kind of peeking into copyright because it's the robot they say the robot hose style, which is the style of the 30s cartoons, wasn't copyrighted, and they were right. Lots of other animation studios did use that style, but Disney used a mouse.
Yeah,
Like,
calling a mouse is dangerous.
It's a mouse. I don't think it's copyright, but they're very clearly leaning on Disney. However, they did say it's going to be a lot darker, a lot more gritty, more of a kind of hard-boiled noir game. There's mysteries, there's side quests and stuff. It's a little bit cliched, like he's a World War I hero, he's a gambling addict, he's got an assistant who's a tough-talking buxom babe and stuff like that. It's very much a cliche of 930s detective culture, but it works quite well, I think, because we know what it's going to be like. It borrows from a lot of things so that we can go with some of the stranger concepts.
Yeah.
If it lives up to what it's telling us about being a bit of a more serious story, I think that's really interesting. Because last year, actually it was day 2 last year as well, spoke to people about my favorite game of the day being Bye Sweet Carol.
Yes,
Another game
I remember
very
that.
heavily influenced by Disney. And they didn't seem, I loved that game, but they didn't seem to have as much of a drive to be something different. I think Bye Sweet Carol are very happy to be a Disney-influenced game with some horror elements. Mouse was very keen to stress that it's just using that as a foundational art style, but the pitch for it is like a gritty detective game that's also a boomer shooter with platform, and that, to me, was more interesting.
Yeah.
But I didn't get to play it, so I guess it's...
That's a shame, really.
Yeah.
Like, did the gameplay look good?
It looked pretty cool. They showed me some videos of like what it looked like a while ago, which people have probably seen in the TikTok when it went famous in I think January, February. It got about 2 million views. And then they showed me what it looks like now. And I hadn't really noticed as watching all the trailers because they kind of blur into one. You just kind of remember like bits and pieces of them. But seeing them side by side, there's been a massive evolution in how they do the backgrounds, how they do how alive the world is.
Yeah.
It felt very much like a shooting gallery in the original videos, and now it feels more like it's not an open world entirely, but they did say you can kind of backtrack and stuff, so it's got some cool stuff like that going on. I think that, to me, makes it the most probably compelling game that I've seen. And the fact that I didn't play it might be helping it a little bit, because the games you play, they don't maybe live up to expectations. They don't look as good when you play them as when the devs play them. But really, really happy with Mouse. Do you have a second pick? 'Cause I know you do love a lot of games.
I do love a lot of games. And you are speaking of a mouse. So I'm going to speak of a mouse. I also played F. Mickey Rebrushed. I am a
The
big
original
fan.
Mouse.
The original mouse, the one that Mouse Piano for Hire is copying from. I never
Not
actually
legally.
properly played the original version of it.
That surprised me a lot.
Because it was a Wii game. I didn't really like play on the Wii properly. Like there's a few I did like Super Mario Galaxy and stuff, but I always wanted to see it return, and I've always wanted that. So when it was announced, I was just happy to get any version of it that looks a little nicer. But the work that's been done to it, there's stuff they just haven't mentioned in the trailers.
Yeah.
Like we know that he's got new moves. We know there's like an expanded moveset, but they've changed like the layout of some levels. They've increased how like the 2D platforming sections, they're not just like little bits between worlds, they're like a whole thing now. So they're just really built from the ground up is a phrase I really hate because it can mean anything, but that kind of feels like what they've done.
Yeah.
I
We've
think it's
seen
going to be
remakes over the years. We've seen remakes that are just new coat of paint. We've seen remakes that have rebuilt a bit more. Resident Evil last year, probably the most obvious one.
Yes, of course.
That changed a lot, but it still felt quite original. So yeah, I think I know what you mean.
Yeah, I feel like it's too early to say, but just from what I've heard and from what I've been shown, it's like unarguably the best way to play Epic Mickey now. Like, very early to say that. It's out next month, so maybe it doesn't hold up, but from what I played, I couldn't imagine going back to the original, which I think is what you want a remake like this to do.
I think certainly that's their intention, the developers. Well, I know that's a lot of people will be thinking the original's always the best, but I think the devs always have to approach from the angle of we are
Respectful, but make it better.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, there's always room to do that.
And you are a fan of less things, but do you have a second?
I do have a second thing, and it's another comparison. I don't always like when people say it's like this game, but I played Rainbreaker, which is the people who made Say No More. I don't know if you've played that, but it was basically a single button game. There was a girl and knock, as you said.
Play that.
Yeah, so
I did. Yeah.
that was a very simple, like colorful, cartoony game. So what they've made is a cyberpunk Hades.
Right.
It's a big change of direction for them. It's somehow a more woke Hades. You know, you've got a lot of really interesting elements with like the storytelling. It's a medieval setting that uses like computers and other things like twisted wires and I just think the way that it approaches like taking down the system and embracing anarchy, and it has a lot of. It feels like it has a lot of interesting things to say. From what I saw, it's just one boss battle. It was just kind of a roguelite, and there's quite a few of those. But when I spoke to the devs, when I saw like the presentation, I think it felt like it had a little bit more to say, which really is what their games have always kind of done. Like Say No More had a little bit of a not moral or message to it, like it's a Disney cartoon.
message.
Yeah, it had an angle. It cared about something, even if presented in quite a silly way.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how the team does when you kind of take away the safety net of we're just being silly, and they commit to a darker game, darker art style, a more serious narrative. I'd be interested to see how that holds up.
Yeah, I can't believe that's from Say No More. I didn't know I didn't know they'd done something since that, but I really enjoyed that. So from concept alone and from the people who've made it, the pedigree, that sounds great.
Yeah, I'm sold on it from what I saw. One boss.
I do have other games to talk about, but you're gonna have to wait and see them because they're all embargoed right now. So we'll leave it at 2. But keep an eye on the Gamer YouTube channel to see what we think on day 3.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.